The Age of Wonders series has always excelled at blending rich world building with deep customizable strategy. With the release of the Giant Kings DLC, Triumph Studios has not only added fresh content, but also fundamentally expanded the core experience. Here are the top 10 reasons why you should play the Giant Kings expansion. The most immediate allure of this DLC lies in the introduction of Giant Kings as a new ruler type. They aren't just aesthetically imposing, they bring entirely new gameplay mechanics to the table. Players can choose from 4 distinct types: Storm, Fire, Rock, and Frost Giants. Each Giant King comes with unique abilities tied to their elemental affinity. For example, Storm Giants are masters of rivers and rain, able to summon torrential rivers that reshape the map, while Fire Giants spread lava and ash, turning swathes of land into smoldering wastelands. These rulers can also summon animated weapons and unleash devastating elemental attacks, adding a mythic feel to every encounter. Their governance skills align with their nature, granting bonuses to production, terraforming, and the gathering of a new resource, binding essences and fragments, which are integral to the updated item crafting system. One of the DLC's biggest mechanical overhauls comes in the form of the revamped item forge. Giant Kings start with access to the forge immediately, a significant advantage over other rulers. They can craft weapons, armor, and equipment infused with powerful, unique runes, without needing specific magic materials. The new binding essence and fragment system cleverly balances item progression. Fragments are required to craft high-tier gear and are obtained from dismantling rare items, clearing infestations, or via specific Giant King bonuses. It adds depth and purpose to every loot drop and battlefield prize. But Giant Kings isn't just about flexing power through rulers and gear. Triumph Studios has put considerable effort into enhancing the game world itself. The expansion introduces fated regions, handcrafted zones tied directly to the lore of Merida and the Fallen Giants. These regions contain story-driven quests, mysterious landmarks, and narrative events that reward players with powerful relics and economic advantages. Each region feels like a microcosm of ancient history waiting to be uncovered, adding a refreshing sense of discovery to exploration. Complementing these regions is the arrival of the Crystal Dwelling, a brand new neutral faction. This faction consists of the crystallized souls of ancient giants who chose preservation over extinction. Players can engage diplomatically with them, accept quests, trade for rare items, or attempt to conquer their floating, massive crystalline bastions, though that choice won't come without significant resistance. The Crystal Dwelling is not just another AI player, it's a living relic, adding new layers of diplomacy and challenge to the game. Another standout aspect of this expansion is the complete rework of the Feudal culture, which has been given 2 subcultures, Monarchy and Aristocracy, each offering distinct playstyles. Monarchy caters to players who prefer centralized, powerful armies, led by their ruler with substantial bonuses and no upkeep for units in the monarch's retinue. On the other hand, Aristocracy introduces a more complex, decentralized system where each city creates its own army tied to a governing lord. Units benefit from fighting alongside their specific lord, encouraging players to spread production across their empire and create a true feudal hierarchy. This rework gives a new lease on life to what was previously one of the game's more straightforward cultures. Visually, the Underground has received a substantial facelift. No longer confined to a generic cavern aesthetic, the Underground realms now feature distinct biomes that integrate seamlessly with the rest of the DLC's terraforming mechanics. For the first time, you'll encounter underground regions that reflect the influence of elemental forces. 2 particularly striking versions are the Ashlands Underground and the Frozen Underground. The Ashlands, laced with flowing lava and fiery ambiance, are ideal for fire giants or players favoring aggressive, destructive strategies. Meanwhile, the frozen variants bring icy, crystalline beauty to the caverns, synergizing naturally with frost giants and cold-themed tomes. Beyond mere cosmetics, these environments have direct gameplay implications. Since terraforming has always been a key pillar of Age of Wonders, it was crucial to ensure that Underground was no exception. With the overhaul, fire and frost giants can now terraform subterranean spaces, spreading lava or freezing tunnels just as effectively as they can alter surface regions. This opens up entirely new avenues of strategic play, where controlling the underground becomes just as vital as dominating above ground. The tactical maps used in underground battles have also seen subtle improvements. Battlefields are more varied, with natural obstacles, elevation changes, and choke points that reward clever positioning, particularly useful when combined with the trap-based strategies of the Tome of the Dungeon Depths. The tight, winding corridors of underground maps now feel purpose-built for attrition warfare, giving players opportunities to lure enemies into kill zones filled with clay soldiers, snares, and pitfalls. Giant King's DLC upgrades the world generation customization specifically through the introduction of new filters and selection options. Triumph Studios has clearly listened to its community here, and the result is a system that makes every playthrough more intentional, tailored, and personal. At its core, the new filter system allows you to enable or disable specific forms, cultures, and ruler types during world generation. Want a realm where only dragon rulers roam? Simply disable everything else. Prefer a more grounded medieval fantasy with only humans, dwarves, and elves? You can filter out exotic forms like insectoids, toadlings, or felines entirely. On the flip side, if you want to create a wild, chaotic animal kingdom filled exclusively with ratlings, simians, or felines, you can toggle off all the traditional fantasy staples and focus entirely on the anthropomorphic options. But it doesn't stop at forms. You can apply the same level of precision to cultures and ruler origins. Suppose you find that reavers or mystic cultures disrupt the thematic consistency of your intended world. You can simply uncheck them from the list, ensuring they don't appear in AI-controlled factions. Want a world solely ruled by the new Giant Kings? Disable champions, dragons, and wizard kings entirely. Conversely, if you want to create an epic clash between wizard kings and dragon lords with no other interference, you can do just that. Importantly, the filter settings aren't just static. The game now remembers your preferences between sessions, so once you've curated your perfect world composition, there's no need to set it up repeatedly, ideal for players who enjoy running long campaigns or iterating on specific fantasy themes. Among the standout additions in the Giant Kings DLC are the new wildlife units, which bring fresh threats, strategic opportunities, and lore-rich encounters to the astral realms. The litharine creatures, mysterious beings forged from living crystal, found primarily near the new crystal dwellings, and in specific handcrafted fated regions. These creatures feel alien, both visually and in the way they operate on the battlefield. Their bodies are formed of sharp crystalline lattices, and they possess unique resonance-based abilities, meaning they often draw power from terrain or from each other, forming deadly synergies when encountered in groups. The litharine units often come with innate resistances to physical damage and heightened magical resistances due to their crystalline structure, forcing players to diversify their attack types. Moreover, some litharine units are capable of applying debuffs that reduce enemy mobility or damage output, adding a layer of attrition-based tactics to fights against them. Their attacks can also include refraction effects, meaning damage can bounce or ripple to nearby units, punishing clustered formations and encouraging more tactical unit placement. What makes these units especially interesting is their connection to the Tome of Geomancy. The litharine creatures are a natural fit for players who've embraced geomantic transformation, as their abilities and resistances mirror what you can eventually imbue in your own troops. It creates a satisfying thematic loop. Enemies that begin as threats become templates for your own crystalline army's potential. However, if the litharine creatures present a mid-game tactical puzzle, the Tier 5 primordial beasts are a full-blown challenge of epic proportions. These colossal entities, unearthed in ancient wonders scattered across the map, are a true test for even veteran players. Designed to reflect the raw, untamed forces of the astral sea, these beasts dwarf traditional units both in size and in power. Each primordial beast feels unique, with custom models, animations, and combat abilities. Some may take the form of towering elemental monstrosities, lava-drenched colossi, multi-limbed earth titans, or spectral leviathans of ice and storm. Others are more abstract, embodying pure magical energies or ancient terrors from the Age of Giants. These units often possess area of effect attacks, terrain-altering abilities, and summoning powers, allowing them to dominate the battlefield unless carefully countered. Tactically, engaging a primordial beast is not just a matter of brute force. Players must account for the beast's immunities, high resistance thresholds, and debuffs that can disable or disorient entire armies. In some cases, the terrain around ancient wonders itself becomes hazardous, erupting with magical anomalies or harmful environmental effects that must be navigated during battle. Defeating a primordial beast is not without reward. Beyond the satisfaction of overcoming such an overwhelming foe, players can often claim high-tier magical artifacts, rare resources, or significant binding fragments essential for forging Tier 4 or Tier 5 gear. In some cases, defeating these titans unlocks in-game events or realm-altering bonuses, making them central to long-term strategic planning. These wildlife additions contribute to the immersion and dynamism of exploration. The world of Age of Wonders 4 has never felt so alive or so dangerous. Venturing into unknown regions carries real risk, and every unexplored tile could reveal a breathtaking spectacle or a devastating foe. It injects tension into expansion, making each choice about where to move, settle, or explore fraught with possibility. But what truly ties this DLC together are the two new tomes of magic, both of which reflect and expand the DLC's broader themes of control and transformation. The Tome of Geomancy is a direct extension of the DLC's obsession with shaping the land. This tome empowers players to tap into earth magic, transforming their units into crystalline beings with hardened defenses and boosted damage. What makes this transformation stand out is how it dynamically interacts with terrain. Your troops' bonuses change depending on where they stand. Positioning suddenly becomes more than tactical. It's the key to unlocking your unit's full potential. Alongside this, Geomancer units join your roster, magic users who specialize in altering the battlefield, erecting obstacles, and amplifying defensive positions. For those who love terrain manipulation and synergy, especially when leading rock giants or underground empires. In contrast, the Tome of the Dungeon Depths takes a darker, more attritional approach. Built for subterranean empires and defensive-minded players, it allows you to summon swarms of clay soldiers, cheap expendable troops ideal for holding the line or overwhelming enemies through sheer numbers. However, the real power of this tome lies in its arsenal of trap-based spells. As you lace the battlefield with pitfalls, snares, and debilitating enchantments, the enemy's advance becomes a slow, costly slog. It's ideal for anyone building a defensive stronghold underground or employing a house-based feudal empire where each city can crank out its own low-cost forces. Together, these tomes offer not only new units and spells, but new ways to think about empire building and battlefield control, enhancing replayability without bloating the game. Adding polish to all this is a set of new music tracks by Michel van den Bos, subtle UI improvements, and enhanced city management options, including expanded trade slots. Every corner of the DLC oozes attention to detail, designed not just to add content, but to enrich the overall strategy and storytelling experience. In a genre awash with expansions that often add quantity over quality, the Giant Kings DLC for Age of Wonders 4 stands out as a meticulously crafted addition. It's not just new content for content's sake, it's a thoughtful, systemic enhancement that deepens the game at every level. From world generation to strategic combat to storytelling, whether you're commanding an army of storm-wielding giants, navigating the political complexities of feudal lords, or turning the terrain itself into a weapon, every choice in Giant Kings feels impactful. The new tomes, the revamped cultures, the terraforming mechanics, and the lore-rich regions combine to create a cohesive experience that not only expands the sandbox but sharpens its edges. This is an expansion that respects both the player's creativity and their hunger for meaningful strategic depth.